Hey everybody, Jordan Chariton. I'm on YouTube. I'm also on Periscope. Sorry for the Periscope people. You're going to see me kind of sideways as I talk directly in front of me. With YouTube, I wanted to come live as obviously there's very, very important news to report as the corporate media warmongers about trying to get us into another war with Syria. As corporate media analysts rant and rave about let's drop bombs on Syria, let's drop bombs possibly on Russia, let's provoke war with a nuclear power, the state of Michigan has just decided to close down permanently the free water pods, the free water bottle pods that were in Flint for the last almost 3 years now. There's been water pods where residents that were, reminder, poisoned by their government, where people could go to get plastic water bottles. I want to remind you, Flint is 45% impoverished. 45% impoverished. So, these people in Flint, the majority are poor African Americans. There are also a lot of poor white people. They don't have the money to go buy plastic water bottles for themselves. So the state was delivering water bottles to the residents because the state was responsible for poisoning the residents. And press the share button. Let's get this out to as many people as we can, because the corporate media, there is zero coverage of the fact that they literally are shutting down the water pods for impoverished, poisoned people based on false science that is being used to declare the water in Flint safe or restored. The water in Flint is not safe. It is not restored. If you watched my interview yesterday on youtube.com/Jordan Chariton Reports, once again, it's youtube.com/Jordan Chariton Reports, you will know that the water is not safe or restored in Michigan. In Flint. You will know that there's been an incredibly small sample size of homes that have been tested to declare the water in Flint, quote, safe or restored. You will know that the tests that have been done to declare water safe in Flint, they did not even verify that the homes they were testing were connected to actual lead service lines. According to the EPA's lead and copper rule, you must verify that the homes you are testing are connected to 50% of the homes need to be connected to lead service lines, and the other 50% have to be lead pipes or copper pipes with lead solder. Because obviously, if you're testing to make sure that the lead in water, the lead that's being found in the water is below EPA requirements, you want to make sure that you're testing homes that are actually connected to lead service lines, which would be lead pipes. But I have been working on an investigative piece on this, working on getting it published. But you have poor people. Flint is a perfect symbol of the controlled demolition of the middle class. Flint used to be a vibrant suburban. Middle class city. And then they started with the trade deals and rezoning and all these things. And now, quite frankly, it's rough. Flint is rough. It's very impoverished. It's very poor. There's high crime. Same thing in Detroit. And for many reasons, which I've reported over and over again, the people of Flint were poisoned by the government. And then the government tried to cover it up. And now the government, the EPA, has funded certain individuals to test water, and that individual, which is in my report that I'm trying to get published, has basically cherry-picked data to make it appear that citywide the water is restored. Well, I'm gonna show you right now water just from one tap the other day. Just from one tap the other day.
So this is the time that they picked to take away Flint water. Look at this shit. Yep.
What the fuck?
Yep. This is what Flint is.
Oh my god.
Don't use that shit.
I sent that to, I've been sending my story out to try and get it published by anybody at this point, a large outlet. And please press the share button. This is very important. I understand CNN wants to talk about Stormy Daniels, and they want to talk about the FBI raid on President Trump's lawyer, and they want to talk about let's start World War III with Syria and Russia. Well, poison people in America, folks, right now are having access to free water that they can't afford otherwise, being ended based on false science. Let me repeat, this is false science. Please go to youtube.com. I mean, you're here now, but after this video, go watch the interview I did with Melissa May. She's a resident from Flint. She is one of the leading activists from Flint. She has gone all across this country, from the West Coast to the Capitol, advocating for Flint. She's an expert on the EPA's lead and copper rule. She's an expert at this point on the effects of lead on people. I interviewed her yesterday in New York, and we went very meticulously through all the reasons why the science being used, both on the federal level and the state level, is not thorough. It is, in many cases, not even meeting EPA regulations. EPA regulations. What do we have to do to get this out in the corporate media? Do I need to find proof that Russia was behind poisoning the residents? Is that the only way that they will cover this? If I find proof that it was Putin? Is that what it's come to? So before, the residents could go to the designated water pods, they call them, the areas in Flint, to get plastic water bottles. Now they don't have that. Most of these people cannot afford to go buy packs and packs and packs of water bottles. Many of these people don't even have transportation. So you're taking away, in many cases, this is life and death. And you're forcing them to drink from the tap. And you make claims, oh, just drink with the filter, it's fine. Although there's report after report after report, study after study that shows these filters go bad very quickly. These filters can actually create bacteria. And these filters do not stop all lead from seeping out into the drinking water. So now you're basically telling residents you're on your own. Just drink water with a filter. Well, I just told you, and studies have shown, and I've done videos on this, the filters go bad very quickly, and they don't stop all lead, and they create bacteria. In what do you think this would happen in a wealthier area? If people were poisoned, first off, the water and the pipes would have been fixed probably within six months. But in Flint, it's going on 4 years. April 25th is the date. The 4-year anniversary when they did this chaotic, disastrous switch from Detroit's water system to the Flint River, all in an attempt to privatize the water system. And they poisoned over 100,000 people. I talk to residents every week that are telling me their bills, their mountain of bills are piling up and piling up and piling up from doctors they have to see from being poisoned. What kind of country is that? Why should people who were poisoned to no fault to their own have mountains and mountains of bills because of their autoimmune issues, or because of cancers they're getting, or because their bones, they can barely walk, and back pain, and back pain? This should not happen in America. And then to add insult to injury, you're going to stop. You're going to close all the water pods? Well, let me ask you something, Governor Rick Snyder, who, by the way, I think is very lucky that he hasn't been prosecuted for involuntary manslaughter. But let me ask you something. You had the money to give billions in tax breaks to corporations. You had the money to give millions in tax breaks to your wealthy donors. You had the money. You had the money. Hold on. You had the money to give oil subsidies and to help those fracking companies that filled your coffers in your 2010 election and your 2014 re-election. You had the money for that. But the state doesn't have the money for water for poor, poisoned people? Why is it? Why is it that the data and the science that they're using to declare the water safe, well, why is it that the EPA-funded scientist who did this study, he is citing Are you ready for this? He's citing 34 homes. 34 homes in a city of approximately 40,000 homes. He's citing 34 homes in a city of approximately 40,000 homes to say he followed the EPA's regulation for water testing, and to say, based on 34 homes, that citywide the water is now normal and safe. Does that sound like common sense to you? Does that sound like a comprehensive, thorough test? And by the way, that's just the EPA-funded scientist. Then you have the state of Michigan, who the state selected for their testing what homes they were going to test. And guess what? They selected areas that were not the worst affected by the water switch. They didn't test thoroughly in the 2 zip codes that have the highest blood lead level for children. They barely tested in those 2 zip codes. Guess what? Both the independent EPA-funded scientists and the state did not use licensed plumbers to verify that the homes that they were testing the water, they didn't verify that those homes were connected to lead service lines. Now, this is very important. It's not a sexy topic to talk about, lead service lines, but it's life or death. The important thing is, you have, according to the EPA's lead and copper rule, you have to test. Half your sample has to come from lead homes connected to lead service lines, and the other half has to come from homes that have lead pipes or copper pipes with lead solder. The independent scientist that the EPA funded, you know how he determined that the 34 homes he cites had lead service lines? This is what he told me on the record. He Googled the age of the homes online. Not making it up. He Googled the age of the homes online, and he used a study. He based his study on where lead service lines were. So saying that he tested 34 homes to satisfy the lead and copper rule, he based those homes being connected to lead service lines not on plumbers going actually into the basement, digging it up to actually verify that, but based on a University of Michigan Flint campus, so University of Michigan, Flint, based on a study they did where they mapped out citywide where all the lead service lines were. The only problem with that, I have on the record in my story that I'm trying to get published, the person who basically ran that study telling me that study was severely flawed, and they were missing about 11,000 to 15,000 homes in that study. And a lot of their information came off of index cards with ineligible writing. So as the media focuses on the FBI raid into the president's lawyer, and as the media hosts pundit after pundit and former military official after military official, and former military official after military official, as they do that, basically warmongering and basically begging for us to drop more bombs on Syria. Guess what? They're closing the Flint water pods for a city with close to 100,000 people that have been poisoned. The majority of the city cannot afford to go out and buy water bottles on their own. This is America. Do you see any journalism? Do you see any reporting on the ground in Flint actually questioning the science, asking for a larger sample size than 34 homes? Asking for them to actually verify that the homes they tested have lead service lines? By the way, this isn't my opinion. I have Erin Brockovich on the record in the story I'm trying to get published, agreeing with my data and facts. I have other water experts in this story. I have plumbers in this story, and I have residents. So this isn't some opinion of mine. This is, I've researched and reported now for 6 months trying to get this published. So the bottom line is this, folks. The people of Flint need you, because when this happens to your city or your town, the blueprint is Flint. So the government, when this happens to you, They're going to see what Flint got away with. They're going to see what the state of Michigan got away with. They're going to do it to you guys too. Whether you're black, white, purple, it doesn't matter. If you're poor and they poison you, they're going to cover it up, and then they're going to try not to pay for it while your bills stack up, while your life becomes more and more hell. I talk to residents on the phone that literally the cognitive damage, the damage to their lives, to their families, to their marriages, it's astounding. So before I close, so you know, as of 6 o'clock tonight, they closed all the water pods. The water pods are gone, and now poor people in Flint are going to have to find a way to buy bottled water. And most of them aren't going to be able to, and they're going to drink from the tap, even with a filter, which is very dangerous.